I'm Roy, and this is the story of owning and sailing my Moody 31 yacht, Mistress Q. Based at Instow on the North Devon coast, it is the highs and lows of cruising in the Bristol Channel and beyond, where every passage is a new adventure. Boats are off the water and in the Boatpark at Instow from November until April, with the mast dropped to avoid noise from flapping halyards. This does at least allow for any maintenance required. Mistress Q is stripped of all removable kit and the anchor chain flaked the way that Brad from the ASA likes to see it. So welcome again to Mistress Q. It's a bitterly cold January day, but at least the sun is shining and it gives me an opportunity to look around the boat and also check out the winter jobs that have got to be done before Mistress Q goes back on the water. The major job to start with is fitting isotherm 12 volt fridge kit. The cool box has served the boat very well, but for summer sailing it's so much better to have a fridge. So the isotherm Webasto now fridge kit costs around £419 from Marine Superstore. Arrived the other day, just unpacked it. I've got the compressor condenser unit, evaporator plate, which I have checked and does fit inside the cool box area. I've got a mounting bracket here and a thermostat control unit. Most importantly, a book of instructions which I need to read thoroughly before starting this job. So moving down into the saloon, luckily the cool box is pretty much a standard size, and I've located the compressor underneath the sink. So that's the compressor unit now wired in with the pipework complete. And the pipework and the wires go up inside the fridge, adjacent to the drain hole. The thermostat and controller and evaporator plate, if you can see it, just fit in nicely on one long side of the old cool box. Yeah, quite pleased with that. I don't want to bore you with the stage by stage what I did to fit the isotherm fridge, but suffice to say, actually by following the instructions it came together really well and I'm very pleased with the end result. The compressor draws around about 72 watts at a maximum of 6 amps. The controller is on the inside in there, which is perhaps not ideal, but it's also linked to the thermostat, and I notice looking at other people's work that they've also fitted the thermostat and controller inside the fridge. Just to complete it, I've got a couple of storage boxes, actually came from Dunelm, and they fit in really nicely and keep the food separate inside the fridge. Job done. I do want to check how much current the fridge is drawing, so I'm not going to invest in a battery condition monitor at this stage, but I did decide to fit a simple ammeter. I also got a voltmeter for both batteries, but the ammeter I'm going to put across the leisure battery so that I can check how much current is being drawn at any one time. So that's it, the ammeter in place. and it's alongside the voltmeter which I've got on the Moody control panel. And the next job is to wire it all in. So today is not one of my most favourite days, but it's anti-fouling day. In fairness, I did quite a lot of the preparation yesterday and have fully scraped down the bilge keels on either side and put undercoat on those. So today is about finishing off, doing some more scraping just to get the loose bits away, then giving it 2 coats of Hempel Classic I'm using, which is True Blue. I've used that before. It's probably not the most eco-friendly, but on the other hand, it is relatively cheap, especially as I bought this before Christmas when it was on offer. So follow me over the next hour or two and we'll see if we can't get Mistress Q anti-fouled, ready for another season. So having studied the guidance from the RYA and the green blue, and with my environmental hat on, I've covered the ground with recyclable plastic sheeting. I've got all of the equipment I need out ready so I don't have to go back on board tramping all the muck back into the cockpit and down into the cabin, and I better get going. Stepping the mast is a sure sign the sailing season is near, and Insto Marine do a great job in extracting Mistress Q from a winter home, ready to launch. Well, here I am again back on Lundy. This is a traditional destination for the shakedown sail at the beginning of each year, and this morning I've got the anchorage to myself. It's a little bit rolly, but I've got a snubber on the anchor chain and the wind is round in the north or northeast, so we'll just have to see how it goes over the next couple of hours or so. Meanwhile, I've got bacon sandwiches and a mug of tea. Leaving Mistress Q on the hook in the anchorage, I left the tender above the high water mark and made my way up the steep track to the top of the cliffs. Lundy is an English island in the middle of the Bristol Channel, managed by the Landmark Trust. It's about 3 miles long and just over half a mile wide. Lundy has a long and turbulent history, frequently changing hands between the British Crown and various invaders. In an attempt to solve the problem of shipwrecks on Lundy in fog, a signal station was established low down on the western cliffs in 1862. 2 old cannon were mounted which fired a blank shot every 10 minutes. These were replaced by rockets in 1878 and abandoned when the new lights were constructed in 1897. When I arrived on Lundy 3 hours ago, it really was quite rough in the anchorage, and I did wonder whether it was wise to launch the tender. However, I gave it a go and I spent a really enjoyable 3 hours walking around the island, camera in hand, looking for puffins. Not a puffin to be found. Apparently they are there, but not within easy sight of my camera anyway. But great to walk completely around the island, crossing over to Jenny Cove and back down to the battery and then into the village. The shops closed but the pub was open, which was great. Now back on board. So it's afternoon tea time, and I'm just looking at the weather and thinking that I'll be alright here for the night. I was contemplating going around to the other side and mooring in Jenny's Cove, but it seems to have quietened down here. So I'll get the tender back on board and then think about making an evening meal. It's 6:30 in the morning, and I enjoyed a really good night at the anchorage in Lundy. Much calmer than I thought it was going to be when I arrived yesterday. Today looks promising. Not a lot of wind at the moment, but it will fill in later, so I should be set for a good run back to Instow. I think what I'm going to do this morning is, once I've cleared my throat, is actually move around to the other side of the island and take a nice close look in at Jenny Cove. Meanwhile, I've been joined by one other yacht on the anchorage here. If I just swing around, you can probably see it. A yacht called Spivvy, which came in last night, and together we both enjoyed a good night at the anchorage. After a gentle motor round from the anchorage on Lundy, I'm now anchored in Jenny Cove in search of puffins. And I'm not disappointed. There are simply loads of them this morning on the water and around the cliffs. So mission completed. Thank you, Lundy. So I'm back in Bideford Bay, coasting along at the moment at just over 3 knots. Killing time if I'm truthful, because I need to cross the bar not really before 2 hours earlier than high water. So I'm around 3 or 4 nautical miles to run to the fairway buoy at Bideford Bay. It's been a successful shakedown cruise. There's a few things I need to sort out before I get on the water next time, but by and large I'm very pleased with the work that was done over the winter and the jobs that were completed. So until I see you next time, happy sailing.